Welcome. Hello, my name is Shay. If you're new here, thank you for clicking on my channel. If you're returning, hey girl, hey, hi girl, hey. As you can probably tell by the title, I'm gonna go ahead and do this mid-year freak out tag. I will say tags are a bit interesting. I do like these tags, and it just kind of is more so a way to not only engage with the booktube community, but also just a reminder and just to kind of like see where you fall when it comes to these questions. And so I've seen a few booktubers do it, and so I just went ahead and copied the questions. I'm gonna look down at my iPad and we're gonna answer these. We're gonna answer these questions to see where your girl, where I stand. Okay, let me pull up the questions. All right, friends, so we're gonna go ahead and just jump into this tag. And now I will say I did not do any prep for these. I did see the questions, and I mean, by default, some, books come to mind or some answers come to mind, but for some of them I was like, oh girl, you don't even know. But we're gonna see. We're about to see. Question number 1 is best book of the year so far. I'm gonna have to cheat. I don't think this will be any surprise for you guys, but let me be intentional. Let me make sure. Since we are now, when you guys see this video, will officially be in July, I will have to give you guys 3. I'll just give you my 3. I'm gonna give y'all my 3. Okay, my 3 books, my 3 best books. Okay, y'all know I'm gonna say my sister book, 957 by Sydney Monet. Y'all should know, if you've been here anytime, y'all should know I'm gonna say Oathbound by Tracy Dion. Also, it's really hard for me to just choose one because I just finished Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. I'm sorry, I have 3. Okay, and those are the 3. I'm sorry, I just couldn't choose one. I'm sorry, forgive me. On to question 2. Technically what I just answered for 1 could be used for 2. Because if we're talking about sequel, oh my gosh, I'm so repetitive. I'm so like predictable, okay? Because for best sequel of the year, and I really have not read many sequels outside of, I think I've done The Naturals this year. I've done, of course, Oathbound, which is book 3 of the Legendborn cycle. And then, of course, Can't Get Enough, the Skyland series, where we got Hendrix's story. And I'm going to say, even though Oathbound was not necessarily my favorite, I really think Bloodmark, and then Legendborn, and then Oathbound, if we're talking about the Legendborn series. But I'm going to say it was the best sequel only because of, all of it, right? But that ending is like Tracy. If you know, Tracy. Because this was supposed to be a trilogy. But we knew going into the book, once you get through like that prologue in chapter 1, you're like, okay, this is going to be a quartet. Because how can you finish the story? You can't. So I will say Oathbound, best sequel so far. Moving on to question 3. New release you haven't read yet but want to. Honestly, My Friends by Frederick Bachman, and I do plan to read that in the month of July, so that won't be my answer for long. But I will definitely say My Friends by Frederick Bachman is for sure a new release that I haven't gotten around to yet for this year. Number 4, what's your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? That's really hard. Only because I have a handful, but I am currently trying to go through the list of books that are coming out to create even like my most anticipated reads part 2, right? For July through December. I have a handful of books. I can't remember. Honestly, I don't have any. Let me get my sticky note. Okay, so looking at the list on my sticky note of books that I am currently looking to as far as being like, anticipating them, The only one I feel like is worth just stating right now is Coded Justice by Stacey Abrams. And it is a book on like AI and just honestly kind of how, you know, we're seeing those changes come into, you know, our everyday lives now. So I want to say that's perhaps the only one at this time. And that one comes out like July, like in like maybe 2 weeks after you guys see this. I believe July 15th, if I'm not mistaken. So I would say that's it, but I honestly still have to kind of go through and really check out the rest of the books, because I only am really running into books with July and August release dates. I have not seen anything September through December yet, so I don't know if it's me or I'm just looking in the wrong places. But yeah, that's question number 4. 5, what book disappointed you most? I would say a book that I did read that just really didn't do it for me, and I had really wanted to read it for quite some time. And let me just preface with, you know, I know there are some people that really do enjoy this book. It just wasn't for me because it was a slower pace. I would say The Unmaking of June Farrow. But again, not because it was a bad book, just because it didn't do exactly what I anticipated it for it to do. It was, you know, just a bit slower than what I desired at the time. But it was a beautiful magical system, and, you know, just how the Pharaoh women got to be where they were. But I would say, you know, because I definitely anticipated that book to be a 5, and can't remember exactly what I rated it, maybe like a 3, but I would say that's the only reason it disappointed me, is because it was not a 5-star. So that's how I will rephrase that question, because I feel like disappointment is very harsh. These authors put in blood, sweat, and tears into these, you know, into these books. Question number 6. What book surprised you most? I'm gonna say Don't Cry For Me by Daniel Black. And the only reason I'm saying that one is because I did not think that that would be a type of book that I would like love and enjoy as much as I did, given the context of it, right? Because Jacob, you know, he had some shortcomings as a father, and, you know, when he was on his deathbed, he had to admit that. And I just really, I don't know, I thought it was going to be a more maybe depressing story. I don't know if that's the exact word. And not that there's, you know, anything, you know, wrong with depression or anything, because like I'm a therapist, but I didn't want to go in that space. Like I didn't want to go into a story if it was going to be as heavy. And I would say that the trauma and him finally taking ownership and apologizing to his son, even if it was like too late, right? He finally was accountable and took ownership. It was just beautifully done, right? And so this is, you know, this was me getting into like my historical fiction, I guess you can say, era, and I just really, really, really enjoy it. So, okay, number 7, who is your favorite new author? I would say S.A. Cosby, and I've only read one of his books, and I can't wait to dive into the other ones. Next one, fictional crush. I will say I normally don't have a fictional crush. Now, I'm gonna say a fictional crush of this year, Maverick, okay, from Can't Get Enough. And I know, if Kayla, if you're watching this, from Kayla's Bookish Vibe, girl, I know how you feel about Hendrix and her story, okay? But literally, y'all, in my previous video when I just did my wrap up and I was talking about a not so meet cute, and I think I had asked y'all, are there any books with Black billionaires and the female main character is also a Black woman? Yes, Maverick was that, right? Like I'm not saying I'm gonna like go out here and, you know, desire a Black billionaire or anything. Like I got my man, I love him, but just the way that he knew what he wanted, and it wasn't in an arrogant way either. I think that's also what distinguishes him from what most people may think a billionaire is. Maverick was not an arrogant man. Like he was persistent, but he also was, he paid attention, right? He paid attention and he anticipated the needs of Hendrix. And so, loud car. And so I really appreciate this. I would say if I had a fictional crush, like it'll be Maverick. Next question, number 9. My favorite character, you know what, y'all? Duh, Bree. Why was I taking all that time to think? Bree from the Legendborn cycle. I really do appreciate the growth that she made in book 3, because our baby girl, and granted she was like what, 16 to turn 17, she was a little bratty. She was real sassy. Let me say sassy, not bratty. But she did grow. So I'm gonna say Bree from the Legendborn cycle. Next question, what book made you cry? I don't even want to talk about it. The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros. And I'm not talking about it because I done talked about it and I'm done crying, because my heart is still on the floor bleeding out. Because Rebecca, that was very much so unnecessary. Okay? What book made you happy? What book made me happy? Good Dirt by Charmaine Wilkerson. Good Dirt by Charmaine Wilkerson. And it made me happy, for one, because it wasn't like a super duper sad slave narrative type story, right? Of course it was trauma because of the unfortunate murder of her brother, of Abby's brother, but it made me happy because Abby finally was able to be happy. What's the most beautiful book you've got so far? The most beautiful? The most beautiful. Okay, friends, I think for this question, what's the most beautiful book you've got so far? This was also in, I believe, my May book haul, when I declared I'm not buying any more books, with the exception of my book subscription boxes, okay? But I would have to say Frenemies with Benefits by Sunithia Williams. This cover, for one, is so on brand. It's so realistic, right? You see Black women that look like her, okay? And then you see Black men that look like him. And so that is why I would say this is, you know, the most beautiful cover that I've recently gotten, because I mean, look at it, right? And my lighting kind of sucks because the sun is going down, but I just believe it's a gorgeous cover and very just realistic, right? So I will say Frenemies with Benefits is, you know, the most beautiful cover. All right, so the last question, my friends, is what book or books do you need to read before the end of the year? So we have James by Percival Everett, we have Delicious Monsters by LaSalle Samberry, and then we have The Reformatory by Tanana Reeve Dew. Those are 3 books. Those 3 books, oh no, actually 2 books are on like the thriller side, and then historical fiction is James. And yeah, I think those are it. I'm just gonna say that because, again, I feel like I can say all of these books behind me, but I mean, what person wouldn't say the books on their bookshelf? So yeah, that is it, friends. Those are the answers to my mid-year freak out book tag. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm pretty sure y'all were not surprised by some of the answers, more so towards the top of this video, or the beginning of this video. And I look forward to seeing y'all in the next one. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.